Jason Rogers, amazing to see you, sir.
Good to be back, man. Good to see you
Yeah.
too, Garth. And I'm enjoying the ball cap today.
Yeah, this old thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
Savannah Bananas, banana ball. We saw my wife surprise us with a trip. We went down last March,
Yeah.
and saw the game, and it was just a thrill. Like it was just so
I
different
bet.
than baseball, but like baseball adjacent. Um, the bands, the dad bod cheerleaders,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
hilarious,
Yeah.
but just like so much joy throughout the whole game. I was wondering for a while, I was like, what are we? Oh yeah, it's baseball we're watching, not a carnival. But no, I really enjoyed it, and I love the story of how this came about. And listeners, if you don't know it, you should check it out. It's amazing.
And
Yeah,
you'll
I'm
notice I've
liking your head too.
transitioned from
Black on
well,
black, Cardinals
gosh, I'm into NFL now because the hockey season's all but
draft.
over, and
Yeah.
it's the Leafs got their first pick recently, which seems like a bit of it's a fix, but it's fine. And
Hey, the Leafs finally won something.
that's fair. Hey, I got a question for you this morning, Garth.
Yeah.
I want you to think about all the birthdays that have come and gone in your life. And is there a
Okay.
specific birth year,
Mhm.
whatever the case is, that, was for some reason impactful? I'm not going to say good or bad, but like we're talking about time here. So like, what was your favorite or least favorite birthday as you approached it? Let's go there.
That's an interesting question. I don't really subscribe to like birthdays and
You don't know?
not I don't treat them as like big milestones of reflection and stuff. I treat them as like opportunities to bring people together.
Yeah.
And we did that 2 years ago. A bit of a milestone birthday for me, and gathered up 11 of my favorite people, and we all went sailing together. And the sailing was great, but it was the time we spent together that was awesome. So I really, really enjoyed that time. What about you, Jason?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, but I've got a big one coming up. I don't mind to share with the listeners. It's my 50th birthday this year, and it's really
40th
kind of
birthday. That's amazing.
yeah, right.
40th
It's
birthday.
gotten inside my head, Garth, and so uh,
Okay.
and I think about it all the time. It's coming up this summer, but I have a funny story to tell. I was we hosted the middle school leaders conference here at Rundle this year.
Yep.
And we
Yep.
had 27 schools join us and almost 200 students and staff. And I ended up on a walk on the pathway of one of our schools, helping a couple girls from another school find their way back. And one of the girls said to me, can I ask you a super random question? I said, of course, you can ask me whatever you like. And she went on to say, did you have to wear a suit when you flew on airplanes when you were younger? And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, no, I don't know why do you ask that super random question? And she said, well, because I was talking to my grandpa before I came out here, and he said he had to wear a suit when he flew on airplanes. And I said, well, that's true. It was probably in the 50s, would be my guess, when that was the norm. And she goes, yeah, that's exactly why I'm asking. In the 50s, did you have to wear a suit?
That hits hard.
Oh,
That hits real hard.
that little shin kicker. She got me a couple times on the way up. The other one, this is funny, and this is a long opener, but I actually presented. I was a keynote speaker at the conference, and I presented on Ted Lasso the whole time. And I did a whole keynote,
Yeah.
1 hour to all the kids and staff. And that was the day before I met these three girls. And the one girl then said to me, did I meet you on vacation? And I said, no, I don't think so. I don't recall meeting you on vacation. She goes, but you were just so familiar, I can't shake it. And I go, well, is it because you listened to me for an hour last night? And they go, oh yeah, that was you, wasn't it? Oh yeah, good talk. We weren't wearing our contacts. That's why we probably. And so
This just sounds like a riot.
oh my goodness. Anyways, what does that have to do with time? Garth, we are talking about time and Cassie Holmes today. I need
sure
you to
are,
land this
Jason. We
plane.
sure
Can you
are.
land this plane and get us into the podcast, please?
Well, it's very clear, Jason, that this upcoming birthday of yours is giving you a moment of pause on how you use time. You were very impacted by Cassie's presentation about how much time you have left with family members
That's right.
and those types of
Life.
things.
Yeah,
So I think that's what that's what you're doing. And 50 is a big year. I don't know when I'm going to get there, but I'm definitely looking forward to celebrating your birthday with you. But Jason, don't let time be a barrier to your happiness, because this middle school girl clearly is not either. She sounds like an absolute riot. I love the term shin kicker. All right, listeners, let's get into it. This is our wrap up of Cassie Holmes. You're going to hear about what we love about time, and then our top three each we're going to talk about our time hacks for you. So get ready, enjoy. And Jason, I love that story. That's awesome.
Great.
I'm going to
I
start
hope
wearing a
this
suit on a
is.
plane.
Yeah,
Let's bring it
hope
back.
this. I hope this time well used. Enjoy the show, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Lassoing leadership, sharp and true. Beard's Book Club got wisdom for you. Turn the pages, let the stories flow. Unpacking lessons as we grow.
Welcome back to Lassoing Leadership. I'm Jason Rogers. I'm one of your co-hosts along for this ride on Beard's Book Club. And this is episode 3 of a triad around Cassie Holmes and her book, The Happier Hour. And I'm here as always with my co-host and partner in crime, Garth Nichols. Garth, welcome back to the show. It's good to see you, man.
Always good to see you, Jason. Yeah, this has been a great 3 weeks with Cassie and her work, really focusing on this time audit. And I think it was great that you heard her speak at NACE, able to strike up a relationship with her, and now we've been able to bring her work wider to our listeners, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I was talking to somebody the other day, and they said, "How did you manage to get Cassie on your show?" And I remember saying, like, we just asked, and it's because people are good, generally speaking, and they want to help out, and they want to support, and they want to have conversations. And sometimes I think a lesson I'm learning from this podcast, Garth, is like, you just have to ask people for what you need or what you want, and sometimes they'll just say yes. And we're really grateful to Cassie and all the people who've come on the show. We've had dozens of guests at this point,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful for all of them. They've all said yes. And so huge collective shout out, gratitude to all those people who said yes along the way. It's been tons of fun.
And I'm going to share a story with you because
Yeah.
I think that when you can find a way to connect with someone through their work and their sort of the passion of their work, I think it really helps. So I was just at the CIS Ontario Heads Retreat, and we had a great time. It was my first time, obviously, and it was really special for me to get to know everyone a little bit deeper, get the head, like a different perspective, a head's perspective on issues around, in Ontario, around education and those types of things. But we did have someone come in. Her name was Sonia Sinek, and they are a lead at the Creative Destruction Lab in Toronto.
Yeah.
And they were speaking about this incredible concept of how they are working with generative AI and where that is going writ large, but also in education. I think and I really loved it. I really felt like this is someone who speaks my language around systems thinking, like the processes that need to be in place for us to do this effectively. And so I very briefly introduced myself to her afterwards, like very, very briefly. And then, Jason, I was at the Toronto Blue Jays game, like that night.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting 4 rows away from them.
That's incredible.
I saw her come up the stairs, and like, first of all, when she was presented, she was in a 3-piece suit. Like, it was like on point. It was great. And then they were coming up the stairs, and she's wearing the hot pink hat and the Blue Jays jersey. And I was like, is that them? Is that them? I'm not sure. And they just took a chance. It's like, Sonia. She looks up. She's like, Garth, get over here. Like, I'd met her for, whatever, 3 seconds, but we were in a session together. And I just love that connection. She's like, are you in on this idea? I'm like, I'm all in. And then we just, whatever, just went our separate ways. But that connection, I think, is like so strong when you connect on something where, there's purpose, there's meaning, there's value, there's joy. So yeah, that was super cool for me. And I think that you had that obviously with Cassie too.
We did. No, I mean, meeting Cassie at NAIS and hearing her speak and then inviting her onto the show was just a huge coup for this podcast and for our listeners and for I hope people love the show last week. And Garth, when you think back to Cassie and her work, let's start there. What's the most resonant thing that you're walking away from this triad with or her work with?
Yeah, for me, I think it's the notion of time. The book is called The Happier Hour. we need to pay attention to this. I do think, as I ended our initial podcast, like we've had Jennifer Brahaney Wallace and then Cassie on, and they are female leaders,
Mm-hmm.
who are impacting leadership, and I think that's really important. And the perspective that they bring on time and how we are to spend our time is the most important to me. So, Cassie's talking about how we pay attention to time, not
Right.
just looking at our calendar, but looking at our calendar through particular lenses to make sure that we are well, that we are happy, that we're getting our job done effectively too, and leading others. Yeah. What about you?
The two really big ones for me, Garth, that I just can't shake. One is, the fact that how we view our time is really, really important. And we put those, mental constructs in place where we start to recognize the limitations of our time. It heightens our value of time. I think
Yeah.
that is absolutely huge in her work. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the fact that we don't value those moments as much. And, I love her story about having coffee with her daughter every morning, and the fact that once a week, and
Yeah.
how that's been important connection time for her. I think that's extraordinarily important. That really did stick with me, Garth. And I've taken it forward. I think I have more awareness of the time and how I'm using it.
Yeah. And so, Jason, what does that look like for you? That
Well,
awareness.
I think literally, and I've talked to so many people about this, is like our summer's coming up, right? Like we've got summer
Mm.
holidays coming up. And I've said it time and time and time again. I've got 9 more summers before my son's an adult, with him. So 9 isn't that many. And, just really embracing that. So leaning into the importance of those times. And yeah, that's probably been the biggest one, is just like thinking about those moments and how we're gonna make the best of them, and
Yeah.
really, really appreciate that limitation on our time. I think is
Yeah.
absolutely massive.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go deeper into this, Jason. Let's talk about time a little bit more, and why I think, and what Cassie is overting to us here is like, why is happiness an important priority for leadership? So I'm going to put you on this. Well, let's put each other on the spot here, and we'll
Sure.
come up with
Sure.
maybe a bit of, like, Cassie talks about a time audit, and I
Yeah.
think I've been thinking about this, but like, what identity is my calendar reinforcing?
Mhm.
I think
Well,
Cassie reminds us that.
Tom Peters does say, Garth, you are your calendar, right?
Yeah.
You are your calendar. So exactly, what is the identity? What's your identity based on your calendar? I think that's a
Mhm.
wicked provocation for our
Yeah.
listeners, for sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I would say things like, even in schools, you're like, show me your timetable and I'll show you what you value.
Right.
But I think Cassie reminds us that time feels richer when it's aligned with meaning. And then obviously going in my head is like James Clear, Atomic Habits, and this idea that our identity is built through repeated actions and what we do to prepare our time. So, a leader who wants to be strategic needs visible time for thinking. Like, that
Mhm.
needs to be locked in. And I think even redefining the purpose of meetings is important. So a leader who wants to be relational needs protected time for people. So how can you, in your meetings, protect that time for relationship building first and foremost? A
Right.
leader who wants to be a learner needs recurring time for reading, reflection, curiosity. And that's why I really valued the CIS Ontario Heads
Right.
Retreat, because it did provide some of that time. And then the other side of it, which is a leader who wants a healthy culture, needs to model boundaries, time for recovery or resilience building, and of course, presence as well. And so, Jason, let's talk about how we use our time. What are let's go back and forth here. What are 3 tips, insights, strategies that you have for your calendar, your
So like
time,
just
how you
a
use it?
top 3. Hey, Garth, let's count it down.
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. We'll go one at a time. And I think it does answer that question. Is I get the question all the time. We said in episode 1, it's like, how do you find time to do a podcast when you got a busy family life, busy work
Yeah.
life, busy everything life? Do you sleep? How do you manage it? Let's get right inside that top 3. 3, 2, 1. We'll do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it as a ladder. Okay, so whoever goes first does does two
You're
in a
going
row
first.
basically in the middle. Okay. All
You
right.
go
All right.
first.
I'll do 3. You do 3, and then you do
Okay.
2. Okay. Here we go. So you said it earlier, Garth. I think my number 3 tip is you guys schedule time for what matters. So, one of the things I love that Cassie did on the podcast, she said, I wish I had more time for ... Answer that question. I think once you truly answer that question, well, Cassie asks great questions like the 5 whys, right? Time
Yeah.
audits are really about good questions and a little bit of tactics. So I think you got to ask yourself a question, what matters, and then schedule it, and then hold that schedule as though it was an important schedule with maybe your employer or with your doctor or with your spouse. Protect that time for what's important. So in my calendar, I've got gratitude blocks several times a week where gratitude's really important. So I block it, and I'm darn sure that I do gratitude during that time. That's protected sacred time, and that's what I want in my leadership. I want to be able to say thank you to people. And if I don't protect that time, it's just not going to happen. So there you go. Let's over to you, Garth. What's number 3 for you?
Well, I first of all, I like that because that's protected time, and I think that also shows or is backed up by what Cassie was talking about in terms of, adding purpose and priority to your time and how you use it.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to build on that because I want to talk about how leftover time can be changed into like chosen time. So those blocks in our day of 20 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that. So my hack is to identify those pieces of time and then give them a job. Right? The jobs to be done. Harvard Business Review talks about that, jobs to be done. So instead of treating 10 to 20 minute windows as like useless, give them some time. And I think back to Tracy Fosher, a deputy head at HTS, who said, when you have a moment because a meeting has been canceled or something, prioritize walking around the school, right? So if you have 10 minutes, start thinking in chunks of like, if I have 10 minutes, I can send a thoughtful note. If I have 15 minutes, I can read an article. 20 minutes, I can take a walk outside. So Laura Sardoni, assistant head at the senior school at my school, KCS, at our school, KCS, we often, not often, but frequently now, we'll say, do you want to go for a walk? Like, let's do a walking meeting. So turning leftover time into chosen time, being very intentional about it. That is my hack.
Cool. And I think that speaks to, I love that, Garth, because it's about building good habits of the mind, having a disciplined mind. And, if you don't waste time, there's actually a ton of time to be used. And I agree. I love that notion. Okay. You're up first on number 2. What's your number 2 hack here?
Number 2 builds off of this idea of that we talked about with Cassie around like the around attention, and why should happiness be a priority in leadership? And so, applying happiness to life is like an important piece. And
Yeah.
just borrowing off of this idea of atomic habits, it's like the happiness stack. So if you have a habit of pouring a morning coffee, or if you have a habit of having lunch with certain people and those types of things, just stack that with a little bit of happiness and make sure those moments don't turn into like just talking about work. So after a meeting ends, you can actually take that time or build time in. And so these microsystems around recurring behaviors. So reflections after meeting, gratitude after events, planning before an email, these types of things, like that happiness stacking would be something that I'd say works for me and reminds us that we are essentially at its core a human organization doing really great things that require systems and structures, but happiness and relationship should be a part of that.
Happiness stack. That is gold,
Yeah.
Garth Nichols. That's really, really good. And I do agree. I mean, that atomic habits bit about stacking habits onto something that you just routinely do. It's such a great way to make change in your
All right.
habits.
You're up.
Number 2, 5 a.m. club is really number 2. It was 5 or 6 or 7 years ago. I read Robin Sharma's book, 5 a.m. Club. I believe that's the author and the title. And it changed everything. And it actually did start to attune me to the power of 5 a.m. till 7 a.m. And I really recommend the book. I mean, it's such an interesting read about how that time can really transform your life. And I use 5 to 7 as me time. And Cassie talks about that in her book, where it's like, you need just a little bit of time a day not all the day, to have time to yourself. And that's my time to myself. And that really does sustain me, gets me going on the right direction. And, it just really supports my family. So it also, the evening time that is sometimes easy to waste is stealing from your highly productive morning time. So getting a good night's sleep at night is actually the way to maximize your 5 a.m. club if you're so prone, if you're one of those chronotypes like Dan Pink talks about. And if you're a morning bird chronotype, this is a hack that you've got to leverage, and you should pick up that book and get on through it. It's amazing.
Going to push you a little bit. What are some of the things that you do at this 5 a.m. club that helps sustain your family and your work?
Well, I have the habits have changed over the years. But right now I do like to get up. I don't check social media. I don't check my email. I don't check any of those things. But I do, I play the New York Times games every day, and the LinkedIn games just kind of wake up my brain.
LinkedIn games. I see you on there.
Reigning champ of Queens.
It's a good day when it's a good day when I'm close to you.
Yeah, so I do that, and then I listen to usually a stack of 2 to 3 podcasts that I know are coming out on a given day, or that come out every day. Then I'll do the morning routine. When everybody wakes up in the morning, this house is ready to go. We've got breakfast on the table, and we've got the school uniforms laid out, and everything's ready to go, and we just have to pack the lunches, and kids are out the door, so there's not a ton of stress in the house. But I love that. Like, I just love that. Those are the 3 things I do, Garth. And I have a little cup of coffee too. That's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I subscribe to the 5 a.m. club too.
Did you read that book?
Okay. I haven't read it. No.
You should read it. It's kind of good. It's not a perfect book, but it's a decent read. I'm surprised you haven't read it. It was good.
Yeah. All right, you're up, buddy. What's your number one?
This is going to sound so crazy because it's so plainly obvious, but it's not something I learned probably 5 or 6 years ago, which changed the game. Is you can't be 2 places at once. So as much as we are busy, and in all of our jobs, whether you're in education or otherwise, leadership or otherwise, you're busy, and you'll be tempted to schedule over one another. You do that all the time. It's like, this might end early, so I'm just going to schedule on top of it, or, I'll probably get there on time. Those sorts of things. There's no reason to be optimistic with your calendar. You can't be 2 places at once. Give yourself ample time to start, to stop, to travel, to do all of those things. It allows you to walk slowly between your events, whether that's, philosophically or actually, and just be really tactical in giving your calendar the breathing space it needs. And do not overbook yourself, and definitely do not double book yourself and think to yourself, well, I'll figure that out when it comes up. That just creates residual stress. And it never works. So you got to get smart, and you got to give yourself the ample space, and everything will get done, and there will always be something to do. Those are just general rules in life. So just, it's simple, small, but you can't be 2 places at once. You just can only be 1 place at once. And I think that presence doesn't always get prioritized, and prioritize presence is what I would say.
Nice. I love that. I'm sitting here thinking, like, so much gratitude for some of my colleagues, because there are times where they come in, and you probably have this too, where, hey, Garth, we've got an hour together, but I only want to use half an hour. I know that you're under a lot of pressure, like your calendar's under a lot of pressure. So let's just use half an hour, and I can give you that break that you need. And I think that's that is also really, really kind. Of thinking, like, I maybe don't do that enough to my colleagues, but I do really appreciate when, you are able to slow things down a little bit, and you're able to, not be 2 places at once. And so when people recognize that and give you that grace, I think it's really nice.
That's like an idea I'd never thought of, Garth, but it's like time empathy, right?
Being
empathetic of other people and their time is really an interesting thought, and maybe something we all need to think about a lot more in this day and age of hustle and busyness. Well done. You just created something, Garth.
We did.
Thank you. Now, drum roll. Let's have it. What's your number one, Garth?
So Um, this has given me a lot of thought, and just going back to some of the books that we've been reading and lately and sharing and stuff. For me, the concept like time is not something that we just spend, but it's something we are able to shape. And so,
Mm,
if we are to do
mm,
this in a way where we prioritize happiness, where like where we are able to ask ourselves these like 5 why questions, where we pay attention to time. I think we should examine time as like the gather part of the gathering architecture. And so, which what kind of time am I trying to create for myself and others? And
hmm
that's that lens that I think that Cassie brought to us. So, what is this time I'm using really for? And if it's with others, what is this time really for? And if we put happiness as part of that equation, then we will, I think it's especially important because my calendar, our calendars, is what creates the culture of the school,
Yeah.
right? Whether we want to or not, it's how we are spending our time ripples down into the culture. And so
Yes.
asking ourselves, how is our time architecting a culture, I think is like really significant. And
Wow.
on top of that is like this idea, you touched on it in your 5 a.m. club, but like, how can we protect the time that only we can use uniquely well for ourselves? And when we don't have that time and we are with others, how do we structure that in a way that really has those cultural ripple effects? It's pretty meta, but it's the idea of like time as gathering architecture.
You know
Yeah.
what? There's 6 tips. These 6 tips, even if one of them is used, I think is virtually
Yeah.
guaranteed to change a mindset, maybe provide more joy, provide more consistency, maybe, more safety, even mentally. That's pretty mental, or, that's pretty meta. I mean, is just, yeah, I think there's lots of opportunities to continue to improve our practice and our habits, as you said. And
Yeah.
I'm really grateful to Cassie for allowing us to have this
Yeah.
conversation. I think it's been really,
And just,
really, really good.
yeah. And just allowing us to like push our thinking. And I said this before, and I'll say it again. Like, think it's so important that, to recognize that, she is one of the professors at UCLA Business School. Like, this is the stuff that is starting to shape the future of leadership,
Yeah,
where you and I might be discovering time empathy in this moment, Jason. But
totally.
people are people are already doing this work before they get into these positions of leadership. And I think that's going to be so powerful, such a powerful sort of antidote against this fearful future of what work might be compressed into, where generative AI just prioritizes efficiency, efficiency, efficiency. We are hopefully raising leaders or role modeling leadership that's like, let's take time for ourselves, what is uniquely human to us.
And I think as we wrap up the podcast, let's just all take away what Cassie said at the very start of her conversation with us. She said, "This is me search, not
Mhm.
research." And
Nice.
like our listeners, each other, let's get out there and do a little bit of me search on time and our use of time. And I think ultimately it will make us a kinder, more compassionate, more time empathetic leader. And I think that will only improve our overall practice. What do you think?
Uh, Jason, you nailed it. Listeners, that is a piece of gold. Like, rewind the last 30 seconds, listen to that a couple of times. But thank you to Jason for getting Cassie onto our season 3 Beards Book Club. We're on a roll here. Jason, do you want to set up our next triad?
Yeah, I do actually. We are moving into an incredible, I met this speaker as well. I guess I just go on conferences to meet speakers, bring them on the podcast. I hope nobody figures this out, but Claude Silver is going to be joining us. And Vanier X, Chief Heart Officer, Be
Yeah.
Yourself at Work. She is a global phenomena. She is a powerhouse, and she is going to come on and she is going to talk to us about what it means to leading with your heart and why organizations need a chief heart officer in the C-suite. And you know what? I believe it. I think she's pretty wicked. It's going to be a great triad.
Yeah, and it builds really nicely off of mattering, off of happy, like, prioritizing happiness. And now we're getting into like, her book is titled Be Yourself at Work. Another amazing, very successful author. Follow her on LinkedIn. She does really, really great work. I'm pumped to spend the next 3 weeks examining what she can teach us.
So listeners, get back in here, and on our next triad, you're going to love what you hear. And until next time, keep leading and reading the lasso way. Thanks a lot, Garth. That was a good morning.
Yeah, that's great, Jason. Thanks. Thanks, listeners.
Thanks for the time. Okay?
Grab your coffee, grab your seat. It's time to learn, it's time to meet. Garth and Jason setting the tone. Leadership lessons to take back home. Lassoing leadership sharp and true. Beard's Book Club got wisdom for you. Turn the pages, let the stories flow. Unpacking lessons as we grow. Keep leading the lasso way. Together we'll grow stronger every day. So plug in your headphones and let's start the show. With lessons from Ted, we'll learn and grow. Lassoing leadership sharp and true. Beard's Book Club got wisdom for you. Turn the pages,